Good Sunday morning. Welcome to Inside Tennessee. I'm your moderator, John Becker. We're going to talk about the August election and a couple of candidates on the ballot. We're going to begin with two in School Board District 9 in Knox County. Bill Sofield's with us. He's the Republican, and the Democrat, Brandy Jenkins, to my left. Thank you both for being here.
You're welcome.
I'm going to introduce our panel. We'll get to questions. On the end there is Don Bosch. He is a lawyer and runs his own law firm, happens to be a Democrat.
Good morning, John.
Good morning. Susan Richardson Williams is a Republican. She runs her own PR firm, and it's good to have you with us.
Good morning, John.
And my colleague John North right here, wingman extraordinaire. And we're going to talk to both of you right now about why you're running. But as we do, I want to pop up the map so our viewers get a sense of the district you were hoping to represent. Christy represented District 9 and school board chair for quite some time. She is out because Mr. Sofield beat her in the GOP primary. But you see District 9 there covers South Knoxville. Mr. Sofield, let's start with you. Why you're running and your priorities for District 9.
Okay, I chose to run because I felt it was probably worth having a change of leadership. My opponent in the primary had been there for 2 terms, 8 years, and I've often said it's a Republican theme for limited terms, term limits, and that until they get elected, and then they want to stay. So my priorities are improving the educational outcomes, protecting students, and being fiscally responsible with money.
Okay. And how about your priorities for District 9 and the district itself?
Sure. One of the things that I really want to improve is early literacy support. We are still having our children, failing the ELA portion of the TCAP each year, and that's just a really important foundation for our children. So that's my main priority. That'll help improve our graduation rates and attendance, and it just is kind of a snowball effect.
Okay.
Mr. Sofield, we'll start with you again as well. You mentioned something about outcomes, I think, and there have been some concerns raised lately about whether we're relying too much in schools on Chromebooks, and that's affecting outcomes, and students aren't learning as well as they used to the old-fashioned way. I'd love to know your opinion on that, and whether, if you were to be elected, that's something you'd be thinking about as a board member.
It's something I'm already thinking about
Tell
as
me
a
about
candidate. I hear from constituents that they like technology and want to have more technology in the schools, and I also hear the opposite of that they want to reduce the reliance on screens and go back to paper and physical material that they can hold. And I think there's a thing to be found out about early approaches, K through 3 on screens and screen time, and maybe reducing that. I'm hearing that from constituents as well.
Ms. Jenkins, what about you? Do you think we're over-relying these days in schools on the technology? Is it maybe time to go back to the old book learning style?
Yeah, I do have mixed feelings about it. I mean, even using the apps to notify, parents, sometimes we miss things. So, there is place for technology and there's place for paper. Also helping our kids learn to write.
Cursive? You know what cursive is, right?
I do know what cursive is.
She's young. She might not.
Yeah. No, I love cursive. I think I have heard, some kids struggle with reading cursive. So, I do like paper, but cost-wise and efficiency-wise, it's something definitely we should look at. I agree with, Mr. Sofield that definitely K through 3, that's more of your fundamental, just learning how to go to school, to be honest. They don't need to learn to be on a computer also, but we also don't want to hold our kids back because technology is very important. So I definitely think it's something we should look into.
Bill, I noticed on your website that you want to ensure that our schools prioritize core education over divisive agendas. What are those agendas in your opinion?
Sure. So there's a lot of buzz recently about book banning and the books that have been removed.
Right.
We don't ban books. You can go buy those books anywhere and you can have them. But we have to have a reasonable conversation about what's appropriate in schools. And what's appropriate for students, and what's appropriate to spend tax dollars on. And there's some books on that list that have been removed from the libraries that are grossly objectionable. And
Would Roots have been one of those?
Roots, I wouldn't consider Roots to be grossly objectionable, but there's material in there that might not be appropriate for some school children.
High school age kids?
Might not be appropriate.
For high school age children?
Sure. And so
Okay.
when you look at that, you have to deal with the lowest common denominator. Who is it inappropriate for? Do we need to protect them from it? Now, there are probably plenty of high school kids who can read that book and not be adversely affected. But that's not how the schools work. They have to approach commonality for all the students.
Especially with this issue, we want to get your answer on that. We've got to take a quick break as well on Inside Tennessee, but back with more perspective from you right after this on Inside Tennessee.
That went quick.
Back on Inside Tennessee, talking with two candidates, a Republican and a Democrat, who would like your vote in District 9 in the school board race. You didn't get a chance, Ms. Jenkins, to follow up on that, the question about book banning and in particular Roots. Where do you come down on that issue?
So book banning, in my opinion, should be more about what is the whole entire book about, not just, ban a
Passages.
book about one word or passages. I do think that, as our librarians are not going to put something out there that's going to hurt our children, therefore the better interests of our kids. And we have the Age Appropriate Act that'll help us, regulate that, yes, but I just haven't seen that happening, and I don't think that we should invest a lot of time and money in things like this when we need to encourage our kids to read and we need to improve our early literacy. That's one of the big things I want to do, is focus on what our kids need, not arguing about things.
Bill, I noticed on your website too that you support school choice in public schools. Did you support the legislature's bill that passed this past session where you give it to 40,000 kids instead of 20?
I'm fine with that. That gives more opportunity to more kids to avail themselves of the voucher program. And the argument's been made that vouchers are just for rich kids.
Isn't that true, though? Isn't that what the numbers show?
Not entirely.
Not entirely, but mostly.
There are a lot of kids who couldn't afford a private education without a voucher. And listen, who avails themselves of it? It brings competition to the schools. You tell me of some system that doesn't benefit from competition. Would your TV station be better off or produce a better product if you were the only one in town? Competition always spurs innovation and greater creativity and better outcomes. And that's a path to it.
And
Ms.
Brandy,
Jenkins.
what do you think about school choice?
Your expression seems different.
Yeah. I've tried really hard to understand, Mr. Sofield and others' opinion, and respectfully, there's a place for private schools, absolutely. I think, all schools and choices should be, available to everyone, but I just don't believe that public dollars should go anywhere besides our public schools. Tennessee is one of the lowest funded states. We just keep taking away, and we keep taking away, and we keep taking away. So,
You talking about on a per kid basis?
yeah, there's just all kinds of different things.
To build on that taking away, we saw Knox County Commission cut the budget recently for the school
$4 million.
district.
$4 million.
And that will mean, at least in that meeting, district leaders saying it's going to mean we're going to cut people. Where do you cut people?
Where do you cut people is a great question, because the majority of the budget goes to our educators. So, that's who's going to get cut.
How about you, Mr. Sofield?
So there's still a $13 million increase. So nobody is cutting money. The rate of increase may be reducing, but that's a favorite ploy of the critic to say, oh, this is a budget cut. It's not. It's an increase. And the other thing that hasn't happened in Knox County schools in decades is an efficiency audit of the budget. There are transactional audits every year to make sure that the money's paid and goes where it says it went. but no one really knows what they're getting for their dollars. And so I'm in favor of an efficiency audit to look at and see what the taxpayers are getting for the money they spend.
And what do you think the results of that might be in Knox County?
Might? I think it's almost certain that you could spend the money more wisely. It might even wind up as a raise to teachers and employees. If you find out where it's being wasted and you can cull that, you can use it for more important things.
So very quickly to each of you, South Knoxville, bricks and mortar question. What facility needs the most attention now, or is there a place where we need to put a new facility?
In about 30 seconds.
That's why I said quick.
Sure. Oh, I'm sorry.
you.
So which facility? So the middle school has a lot of, there's a stadium sitting right there that needs some attention. That's not going to help our education, but there's more examples of that in our schools that we need a lot of infrastructure. New Hopewell is one of them that I've heard needs a lot. So that would probably be my answer there.
Bill?
So Knox County Schools already owns property in South Knoxville to build a new school very near Gap Creek or New Hopewell, and it looks like that would be a combination of Gap Creek and New Hopewell, which is some more efficiency there. You can consolidate things and get more for less.
We appreciate both of you. Thank you so much for your time. Best of luck on the campaign trail. Again, the election is August 6th, and we're going to talk to two other candidates who would like your vote. They want to serve in an at-large seat on commission. We're back with that discussion right after this. A double dose of candidates on Inside Tennessee this morning. Two back with us in Knox County looking to represent all 500,000 people in the county. Justin Kofer is the Republican who is running for at-large seat 10. Katina Sharp is the Democrat. We're glad both of you are with us. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
I want to remind our viewers, Knox County, again, has more than 500,000 people in it, and this is what the map looks like. You see the districts divided up there, but there are 9 districts and 2 at-large seats. This is one of them. Justin, explain why you're running.
One of the reasons I decided to run is everywhere I went, you saw development, just new developments popping up everywhere, and people that I would speak with, they felt they weren't being listened to when they would be talking to the commission about that. So I've had several approach me and say, hey, with your background, have you thought of running? And I spoke with my wife, and I decided to put my name in, and and here I am.
Ms. Sharp, why did you decide to run?
Well, I'm a 40-year Knox County resident. This is my home. I am well established here, and I love it here. But more than that, I love the people who are here. I'm a pastor, and I hear people tell me that Knox County has left them, that they are being priced out, and that they cannot afford to live in the home that we have grown to love. And so at some point I decided to put my compassion into action and to see how I could help make a difference.
And your highest priority would be what? The question to you first, and then Mr. Kofer to you.
My highest priority is the affordability of living in Knox County. Right now, about 1 in 4 people is spending 30% or more of their income on their housing. And what happens when we get burdened with the cost of housing is that trickles down to everything else. You have to start making choices about filling prescriptions, about getting an oil change on your car, about buying foods that are nutritious. And when we start making those decisions, we get into a cycle of debt and perhaps even risking homelessness. And so what I'd like to do is to see how we can make Knox County more affordable for the people who live and work here.
Mr. Kofer.
For me, the biggest issue and concerns are infrastructure, from our roads to even our law enforcement numbers. We have to start looking at ways to adequately get the paving backlog in check. Our law enforcement, they're not, from the ones I spoke with, they're not being competitive with other counties, and so that's going to make us hard to retain. And then back to the roads, with it, if the roads are bad, that cuts down on the response time. And so to me, that is one of the most crucial areas we need to focus on.
So Justin, have you actually looked and compared those salaries, the Knox County Sheriff's Department office and surrounding counties? Because I have paid attention, and with the recent increase in those salaries, Knox County Sheriff's Department is very competitive salary-wise with corresponding in like counties?
I'll double check that because the numbers when I requested them show that it's a little bit lower, but I'll definitely check that out. Thank you, sir.
Justin, you're a big no on tax increases.
Correct.
And you say you're not anti-growth, but you really want the developers to pay their own way. So how, if you're not going to have a tax increase and we're not really too much pro-development, how are we going to take care of this $100 million debt that Knox County is facing every year for the next few years?
Well, one of the first things I want to do is do a true external audit. I know we get them done internally, but I like to see an external one. That way we can see exactly where every dollar is going.
And how will that be paid for?
It would pay for itself. With the $1.1 billion we would be finding enough in that it would cover
So
it.
you expect the external audit versus the internal audit will find more waste or loss than what we're doing?
And yes, and we can then take that and the numbers that we find in it, then we can start prioritizing because the people spoke loud. They do not want a tax increase. And our job as commissioners is to represent the people, and they don't want that. So we're going to have to find ways to work within that budget.
Brandy, I was going to ask you, are you...
Katina.
We've moved on from the last block season. That's okay.
Katina, I had Brandy in my mind. Katina, how are you on tax increases? Is that something you're an absolute no on?
Well, I have no desire and no intention to raise taxes. I also am a Knox County resident, and I care about the people who live here. Affordability is one of my primary issues, so I have no desire to raise taxes. I do think, though, that making a firm there will be absolutely no tax increases over the next 4 years promise is not quite a fair thing to do to voters because we don't know where we'll be in 4 years.
Is it unrealistic?
It's unrealistic.
And to Susan's point about growth, how would you manage? You're talking about affordability, and we hear from a lot of people the way to make Knoxville more affordable is to build more homes. And whether that's single family or it's apartment living or it's just more is better. Do you agree with that philosophy?
To some extent, I think that in the places where infrastructure exists to support the growth, more can be better because we're creating jobs with building these homes, and we're creating housing that the working class can afford if we're building some denser housing in the places where the infrastructure exists to support it.
We've got to take a quick break on Inside Tennessee. Back with more of our conversation right after this. And this... Back on Inside Tennessee with two candidates for at-large seat 10 on Knox County Commission. This is Larson Jay's seat. He served 2 terms, ran for mayor, did not win the primary. John.
Candidates, as John said at the start, one of you is about to represent 500,000 people. That's a lot of people. You're going to represent the 4 of us. You're going to represent me. I'd like to know what kind of a commissioner you're going to be in this sense. I care about the roads as a resident of Knox County, fiscal sanity. I don't care so much about culture wars. I don't care so much, and these issues have come up and drawn criticism from some commissioners who are sitting there, not a majority. What is on your mind in terms of how you operate as a commissioner, and do you see things like culture wars or going after religious issues or such as that as something that's important for you as a commissioner to take up? Mr. Kofer, we'll start with you.
I think it's an important question, especially with some of the things we're currently seeing, but a commissioner's job is to represent the people, and countywide, you've got a bunch of different views and perspectives, wants and needs, and it's important to always approach them respectfully, to listen to them, and we shouldn't be fighting amongst each other. We need to be trying to find solutions, and by doing that, if we can show the taxpayers that we may be Democrats, may be Republicans, but ultimately our best interest is trying to find ways that makes Knox County better for the residents. I think that will help to start mend our county a little bit.
Ms. Sharp.
I'm really glad you asked this question because I have been dismayed this year to watch as the Bible was used as a source book in County Commission, and we have talked about whether Muslims are compatible with our American way of life, and these sorts of things.
Some people don't think they are.
And you know what? That distracts from our goal as county commissioners is to fix the potholes and to talk about building. Our goal is not to decide who's in and who's out. It is not to define what family looks like. Pardon me. Our goal is to stay in our lane and to get back on track with fixing affordability, making sure our schools are fully funded. Those are the things that we should be concerned with. Everything else is a distraction, and it's a waste of taxpayer time and money.
So, Justin, let me just follow up on a little point of that. I spent some time looking at your website, and you made a lot of references to stop our community from becoming more progressive and more liberal. The last time I looked, our last several mayors have been Republicans. Every fee office elected holder is a Republican. Every elected judicial bench in this county is Republican. And I think 8 of the 11 on county commission, is that right, are Republicans. Do you think we're a liberal county government?
No, but you're seeing the difference between 2 different styles of Republicans. You have what's considered your establishment.
So this is the internal split in your party.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you have your more conservative, limited government Republicans. That's the one I represent. I believe less government's better, because anytime you start having more and more government programs, that's going to mean you need more people. You're going to need more buildings, more supplies, and you're going to have to fund that at some point.
Is the establishment Republican the bad Republican then?
No, I just believe that the views are currently changing on that, and we are leaning more towards, well, you're MAGA Republicans, and I know some people dislike that, but
yes,
that's who's taking over the party, and that's the direction we're going.
Let me ask you a quick issue we saw this week. County Commission voted to move some money from the school district budget into raises. Instead of 3% for county employees, it'll be 6%. Did you agree with that move?
Well, not entirely. The problem, this just represents the fact that we have a budget crisis, and so we are taking money from one place that needs it desperately and putting in another one that needs it desperately. And so I think what this shows us is that we have to rethink the entire budget, because yes, the schools absolutely deserve and need to be fully funded in order for us to have quality education. But yes, our county employees absolutely deserve to be compensated for showing up in emergencies and those sorts of things.
Mr. Cofer?
From my understanding, the schools are still fully funded, and was the 6%, it went to all employees, and it's rightfully needed.
So that's a tough choice you would have made.
Yes.
Okay.
Katina, you're
1 minute.
This is quick. This might be quick. You're a intervener in a lawsuit about the constitutionality of a religious public charter school attempting to open in Knox County. Why are you involved in that?
Because I believe in the importance of religious education if people choose it. But I also believe that the way that our country is established is such that people ought to be able to choose any religion that they wish. And so taxpayer money should not be used to support any sort of religious institution. And I say that as a pastor, someone who deeply loves religious institutions.
Well, I appreciate both of you giving us some of your time on this Sunday morning and sitting down with us to talk about the issues. More to come, certainly, as this election heats up as we move to August. Thank you both. Best of luck on the campaign trail. We're back next week on Inside Tennessee. Thanks for watching. You can find all our prior episodes on WBIR.com.